Hello, this is Dr. Lori. I would like to orient you to a major project that we're going to be doing together this quarter, and that is called Team Integrated Project 1. And you're beginning that this week. So let's take a look at what that includes. There are two main ways that you can get to this assignment. First of all, on the home page, you'll notice that the C7 Analysis 2 link is right here under one of your team activities. And then the second place that you can get there is actually under modules. And the thing that's nice about modules is that it shows the relationship between this and some future assignments that you'll be working on. So if you scroll down past Module 4, there's something called Team Integrated Projects, and C18, Team Integrated Project 1, is your final submission for this project due on December 3, so after Thanksgiving, and you'll notice that it's worth 88 points. C7 and C12, though, are subsets of this particular assignment. Now, if you were to click and look at all three of those, you would notice that the instructions for them are identical. And so basically what this allows you to do is submit a first draft as Analysis 2, a second draft as Analysis 3, and they're separated by a couple of weeks here. And that allows us to give you feedback about how you've done on that assignment. And then, based on that feedback, you'll submit your final descriptive analysis on December 3rd. And so this process of submission and then getting feedback and improvement will allow you to really hone in on how you want your final product to look. So let's go ahead and look at the very first one, C7, Analysis 2. And your screen probably looks a little bit different than mine. I'm going to make this so that you can see it a little bit better. It starts off with the instructions, and basically we are doing what I would consider to be a made-up assignment about a pretty current real topic. So we're imagining that we are involved with this San Bernardino School District Administration, and they're thinking about this whole concept of high school start time. Because there's been a lot in the press, I would say over the past couple of years, about how this early start time is causing a lot of sleep deprivation in our high school students when the start time is so early in the morning. So our research question is actually much more focused than that. All we need to do is to be able to describe how much sleep do high school students get in San Bernardino. And part of the reason that I say this is made up is we don't have data that we can actually look at, so we're going to make believe that the data that we do have from the YRBS is our data from San Bernardino County. So don't get hung up on the fact that our data is not San Bernardino County. We're having to improvise, but we want you to be able to have a chance to work with real data. So overall, if you think about the big picture, your goal is to write a report that is appealing to your stakeholders. And I've given you a sample report that has different sections, so you're not just copying this, but it gives you sort of an overall guide, a starting point. Your sections will be different than this, and I'll show you exactly what those sections are here in a minute. But first of all, in terms of the setup, we have created for you under your team collaborations, your group homepage, a Google Doc for you to work in specific to Analysis 2. And when you get to the end of Analysis 2, you will download that and then submit it on Canvas for us to review. You'll have a separate Google Doc for Analysis 3. So you'll basically copy over your final one from Analysis 2, and then you can continue working on it. So it's not just one Google Doc that lasts through all three assignments, Rough Draft 1, Rough Draft 2, and then the final one. It's 3 separate Google Docs. So be sure that you're working in the correct one. So please keep all your work, your discussions in that document. That's where we're looking to see your collaboration. Don't create a new Google Doc to work in and invite us. We're actually required by the university to have one that's created by us that you work in, and that gives us the ability to let reviewers see how we run our class. So, and the other thing that's important is don't delete comments that are attached to the document. A lot of times you can say, oh, check, we've done that. go ahead and leave the comments there, but when you get to submitting your rough draft 1, the analysis 2, then go ahead and delete those so that you're submitting a clean document. So the 4 parts are, part 1 is study methods, and so describe in detail the study design you would use to evaluate the above question. And you will ultimately, in this report to the stakeholders, you're going to write this in the past tense saying, this is what we did. We collected this particular sample of high school students. We went to the classroom and we submitted this questionnaire. Rather than saying what you will do, if you were to write it in the what you will do, a lot of times that sounds more like a proposal, and that's really not what we're after here. I know that you have not done this, and you're not asked to do it as part of this class in terms of the study methods or the data collection, but you're describing it as a past tense rather than what you're planning to do. Same thing in terms of data collection. Describe how you would collect data, what methods you would use for your proposed study design, and again, write this in the past tense. And then, knowing that the YRBS Wyoming 2015 data set is not from San Bernardino and also may not match what you said you were going to do here, go ahead and analyze that data. There is a question there about sleep. Translate that raw data into information that those stakeholders can use for making decisions. So you're making a report just about sleep among high school students, and YRBS is about high school students, so this is pretty realistic. And then in terms of the data interpretation, this is more than just submitting your results. It's actually interpreting or discussing that. Interpret the results of your data analysis, and also be sure that you look at the assumptions, because that is one of the rubric items that we'll see below in a minute. And part of the challenge here really is figuring out how much information do I include. Now I'm imagining this report, if you look at the sample report that I gave you, I'm imagining this report to have probably, oops, I went too far, probably a half to a page of study methods, half to a page of data collection. The results and the interpretation probably would be a page to 2 pages, depending how large you make graphs and things that you're showing what you found and how you're interpreting it. So this is not supposed to be something that is super duper long. It's not supposed to be a 20-page report, but your task then, the challenge, is to figure out what information do I include for each of those sections, and how do I present that in a way, because your audience is that San Bernardino School Board District and the parents and the students. It's not a medical audience. Now, separate from those 4 parts, as you're going through this project, I want you to keep a list of challenges that you run into. Maybe one challenge is, oh wow, I realize I don't know how to make a bar graph. Just write it down. Just say, I've gotten to this point in the class and I haven't learned that yet. So it's as simple as that. It's not like going on and on, but at the very end, and then as your teammates are either reading that or working with you on this project, they'll say, oh, I know how to do that, so let's maybe work on that part together. Because really, ultimately, every single person needs to understand how to do all of these parts. And so our hope is that through this Google Docs, that you'll be having multiple side conversations about, why would you choose a certain wording? Why would you select a certain way of doing things? I would highly suggest that every person contributes to each of the sections and says, how about this component of the study methods, or have you thought about this, rather than kind of a divide and conquer. You will learn a lot more about it, and you'll be having quite a conversation with your teammates. So if somebody creates a graph, double check it. Make sure yours turns out the same way that theirs did, so that you know for sure that the data you're submitting is correct. So this is separate. It can be a little section just at the end of your report, but it's not part of what you would normally submit to your stakeholders. Just the challenges that you encountered as you were going through this project, just kind of like almost that awareness of, what roadblocks or hurdles did I run into, and it may even also bring you around to thinking about, how did we even solve those? So the submission will be one person from your team. Whoever is the leader for that assignment will submit the assignment on behalf of the team. Each person does not need to submit it separately. So this is your rough draft 1 that's due, depending on which section of the class, either Sunday or Monday, October 22 or 23. And the fastest way I've found to get there is just to go into the Canvas calendar right over here on the left-hand side and find C7 Analysis 2. And there should be a link on that assignment that allows you to turn in a .doc, a docx, a PDF, however it is that you want to submit that document. Then once you get the feedback from that, Analysis 3 will be the starting point for you then making revisions to that next one, brand new Google Doc for you to start working in. So we'll see kind of that progression as we go through the quarter. If you have questions, I'm very happy to answer them, and I'm excited. Oh wait, I have one more thing. I need to go down here and show you the rubric. Okay, so there's important things to notice about the rubric, and when people see this rubric for the first time, one of the things that really stands out is that these first 4 sections have 16 points each, and then the final 6 sections only have 4 points each. Now, to tell you exactly where these came from, the first 4 sections came from the course outcomes, the learning outcomes for the course, and these have to do with data analysis. And if you view the longer description, you can always see the more in detail, apply EPI methods to the breadth of settings and situations in public health practice. And so hopefully these will be familiar. Select quantitative and qualitative data collection methods appropriate for a given public health context. The data analysis and data interpretation are similar. Whereas the final 6 really come from the institutional learning outcomes for, and I'm blanking on the word, critical thinking, I think, or analytic thinking. And so these really ultimately are subparts of these up here, but this gives us a way to give you feedback about that particular subpart. So these come from the institutional learning outcome, the ILO, for analytic, is it analytic reasoning, I think, maybe? And they are related to, but not worded exactly the same as the CEIF criteria. So we're putting them all into one rubric. When this particular assignment, the Analysis 2, is graded, we'll be giving you feedback, probably the most important feedback regarding what you've submitted. And so if a section's blank, our feedback will be you need to do that section. If you're really off track, we're not going to be giving you minor feedback about grammar and punctuation and those kinds of things to clean it up. And so these will be kind of big picture feedback items, and just submit whatever it is that you've done up to that point, and we look forward to seeing what you create. Thank you so much.